want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right, so that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then, what is this? Says squeeze a quarter-size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And dang, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day. Right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you go in between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege Hanley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Tiege commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link. It's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your illustrious host. Is that the right word? I'm your host, Anton Daniels. What up, though? What up? I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Man, it is Friday. It seems like these weeks are getting longer, but it's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. What up to everybody in the chat? Thank y'all for tuning in last night. It was lit. I see you, Big Suggs, Molly, Gab Light Too Bright, Distinguished Gentleman, Natural Springs, K. Cooper, Mr. Azriel, Ezekiel, Trini Life, Granny B, Vanessa, More Knowledge, Leslie Aaron, Devonna, Rhonda Poole, High Tolerance, Treese, Yakar, KB, Duan, Carla, DJ Ace, Buff, Kevin King, Tracy Turner, Patsy Hutchison, and all of my friends. Y'all give me a second. Let me see if I can log into my work computer still. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make sure we get in that bag. Bam. Gotta get that Duo. You know what I'm saying? If anybody know what Duo is, Duo is where you gotta put in that code to make sure that you're getting in. All right, that refresh code. Let me make sure I'm online. 6 We in there like swimwear. All right. Okay. So yeah. We back on the map. Logged into Microsoft Teams. All right. We online. We good. We good to go. What up to everybody that's getting it in, that's doing multiple jobs, multiple things, getting multiple bags at the same time? Let me say that again. Shout out to everybody that's getting multiple bags at the same time. You know what I'm saying? We leave no dollars on the table. We make sure we run up every single bag, and we do not miss ever. We do not miss. What up, friends and family? Listen, let's get a little bit of the housekeeping out of the way, and then I got a phenomenal show lined up for you guys. So let me tell you what I got lined up for you. I didn't realize that Kamala Harris did a new interview yesterday, but we're going to review that. We got to give you the latest on Eric Adams. He's facing a judge today. Additionally, Trump wants to deport illegal migrants. He's giving them a warning. And then we got quick hits, and we got some more things to go over. So we got a full show lined up for y'all today, including Melania Trump sat down with Fox News. I didn't know that Melania Trump was about to pop out. Yeah. So, yeah. What up, Jeremy Rogers? What up, everybody? Let's get this money, y'all. First and foremost, make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies, get it for you. Also, on top of that, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Block Club is coming up. All of that insight and information on real estate. So we got you lined up on that. Make sure you get your tickets to the show. Come see me in person on December 14th in Detroit and November 2nd in Atlanta. Discount code Anton. That should be pinned to the top. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Let me get some of these super chats popping. And we're going to jump right into the show. Shout out to ESDC in the building. I appreciate you. Said Prodigy died in the hospital, choked on an egg. What? Robert Banks, what up, though? Mike That Dude in the building. Shout out to Mike That Dude. Christopher Mayberry says, will you invest in BYD? Nope. But I'll go over in Stock Club. I'm not making an emotional decision. I don't think that I would invest in BYD. But we're going to get there. All right, let me read some of these super chats. 39 days to the election, says Joe Q. I see you. Cartier 82 says, congrats on reaching 10K in the Bag Chasers. Oh, you seen that? Shout out to the Chasers. It's the reason why we up. So much knowledge and insight and information. If you're not a part of the Patreon, you missing out. And when you join the Patreon, make sure you tap into the Discord. The link to the Discord is in the description of the video in the most recent videos. Shout out to Cartier 82. Chase Barnes says, happy Friday, AD and peeps. I have a new nickname for you, Anton Stradamus, because you called it with Eric Adams' indictment in real time. Did I not? I said that he was going down. I said, man, listen, Eric Adams, his time is numbered. And this was way back. I said, his time is up. You're not playing nice no more. Congrats on 400K. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. My girl sister is in the building. Good morning, Mr. AD. How are you doing today? Well, I'm doing so much better now that I seen you. Sis. Shout out to my baby. Yakima James says, what up? Thank you, Yakima. Thank you for holding me down. I appreciate you. Jeweled Alchemy Soap Company says, happy Friday, Anton. You've been cooking with gas all week. When don't I cook with gas? That's the thing I never miss. And I'm stoked to let you know that we've now selling on Amazon from the back. Never. Get that Amazon bag, dog. Jeweled Alchemy Soap Cummy. Go and check them out on Amazon. Eric Harris says, I am a little bit under the weather, but I'm still pulling up to the work because we don't miss. Get that bag. Ain't no point in sitting at home being broke. Blockchain Brian says, happy Friday. Anton, word on the streets is that the strike could be hitting the Pacific coast as well. The economy would already be turned on its head. This would obliterate the economy. Hey, it is what it is. If the people want their money and our federal government can't help step in, then this is what you get. Maceo, 727 in the building says, good morning, Pastor AD. What up, though? Send a prayer up for me, please. It's been crazy going through a divorce. Moved on Monday. And thanks to Helena, my car is flooded. Lord, we come to you. In your name, you say where 2 or 3 is gathered in your name. You didn't say we had to be in the same room with each other. You said where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name. There you were in the midst of thee. And we come to you on behalf of my homie, fellow bag chaser Maceo. Said he going through some things. But I need you to show him that this is just the beginning of his opportunity to be great. It's always darkest. It's always because God, he's letting you know that he's taking you through things so that you can then appreciate it and really level up when you get to the next level. Everybody is not meant, God, we know, you told us. Everybody is not meant to go on this journey with us. You told us in your word. We seen it. Even when Job's wife forsaked him and he told him to curse you. And Job was blessed as a result of it. And he got multiple of what he had before. And he was already what he was supposed to be. And we think that just sitting there contemplating and being complacent and that the person and the people that came in with us is the people that's supposed to roll with us for the rest of our lives. But sometimes we just grow in 2 different directions. So bless my dog Maceo. Not to look at this from a bitter perspective, not to look at this as going through it, but get into it because you got to suffer before you get to the light. You got to suffer. It is what it is. No great man has never gone through things. Bless him, Lord, and multiply him for his seeds that he's sowing now, knowing that they are going to grow into phenomenal trees bearing fruit. We love you. We appreciate you. Even when it seems like we're going through things, we know that the devil can't even touch us without permission. Let him learn for this. Let him see this. Let him go through it to get to it and let him be incredibly successful. God bless him. We ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, bro, we all go through it. We all go through things. This is your opportunity to level up. This ain't the time to get down. This is your time to level up. We with you. We with you. We got your back, bro. We got your back. Shout out to Maceo. It's all a celebration because we celebrate before we even get to the gift. You know what I'm saying? Antonio Watkins says, happy Friday, Anton and the Bag Chasers. We up. We up. Shout out to you. So listen, let's go ahead and make this the best opportunity to do great things, sow great seeds, have a good time, be with each other, and grow together and put the medicine inside of the candy. Y'all ready to get to it? All right. Again, let's get to it. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's roll. Let's ride, y'all. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't think that we need to highlight everything in its own individual segment, but we definitely want to keep you up to date on what's going on out in these streets, man. So, with that being said, first things first, Tiffany Henyard is back in the news, but a judge is blocking her appointments, which means that superseded her authority. Take a look and see what's happening out in these streets.
Starters, we paid a visit to Village Hall around 3 this afternoon, and I'm told Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at work today. As for that court order, this is a major win for those trustees who have been up against Henyard for some time. A judge yesterday siding with 4 trustees by ruling that Henyard did not have the legal authority to make 3 recent appointments: a new police chief, village attorney, and village administrator, all of them given jobs by Henyard earlier this month. Trustees argue that she did so without their consent or approval, and that she did not have a quorum to start the meeting in the first place. The trustees' motion for a temporary restraining order also alleges bullying, retaliation, and violating the Open Meetings Act. Yesterday, Cook County Judge Thaddeus Wilson agreed.
The board has been absolutely fantastic in trying to keep the government operating. The people suffer the employees
Look at this
suffer
ghetto-ness.
while her reign of terror continues.
It's not a good feeling working in a hostile work environment. It's not a good feeling at all. And that verdict yesterday brings hope to the employees that now we can get back to doing things the correct way, decent and in order. I'm happy, and also I got calls from the residents, and they are happy as well.
Meanwhile, Mayor Henyard's personal attorney, Bo Brinley, is also responding this afternoon, saying in part, Mayor Henyard will appeal and the truth will come out, a truth that reveals a corrupt board of trustees trying to hijack the mayor's office through false statements and outright criminal conduct.
Hey, people be fighting for the office and these seats like they own company. They be fighting to control your tax dollars viciously. Viciously. Hey, ain't nothing gonna happen to Tiffany Henyard. She chilling. Cause Dolton is too small. And ain't enough waves to make. Ain't no money over there in Dolton. Ain't no big businesses. Ain't no resources. Ain't no point in sending no migrants over to Dolton. Dolton ain't good enough for the federal government to be paying attention to. They gotta go get Eric Adams, baby. Anyways, that's what's happening over in Dolton. And speaking of Illinois, let's move over to Chicago. We got a mass shooting. Now, they're now labeling it as mass shootings, y'all. Over in Chicago at a recording studio.
A mass shooting on Chicago's northwest side sent 4 people to the hospital. This happened outside of a music recording studio in Old Irving Park.
Our Sade Gray is live at the scene. Sade?
Yeah, Jim and Marie, the shooting happened right outside of Fort Knox Studios. As a matter of fact, I want you to come take a look at this. One of the bullets pierced this door, and that's not the only one. We found a shell casing on the sidewalk, the same sidewalk where 4 men were shot.
I thought the police were supposed to pick up the shell casings for evidence so that they can scrub them from fingerprints. Why is the news coming in the next morning and still finding shell casings? Anyways.
So we got a big old crime scene at the rep studio.
A large crime scene outside Fort Knox Studios where violence shattered a normally quiet neighborhood.
It was a lot more police presence than we've ever seen.
Initial calls from police described the attacks as a drive-by shooting.
There's probably 50 to 60 9mm rifle rounds, everything you can think of.
Chicago police tell us the shooting was just before 2:30 this morning. The 4 men, ranging in age from 20 to 25, were walking on the sidewalk near North Knox Avenue when a dark-colored sedan drove by. People in that car started shooting. One of the victims gave specific details about what he saw.
All we have is that this gentleman said that he was shooting a rap video. He's a videographer.
I wonder where they shoot country music videos and if they have drive-bys. I wonder if they shooting K-pop videos and they have drive-bys. I wonder if they doing blues music drive-bys. It's always the same people. And then they want to get mad at me and say, you don't report on the country music problems. Let's see. Rap video, rap studio, rap people. Chances are is black people. Cultural norms.
Walked out and he heard they shot about 30 to 40 shots. He doesn't know the make of the model, doesn't know what it is. He just said they went the length of the street and were just shooting and he caught one in the neck.
Those men are now being treated at Illinois Masonic and are expected to recover from their injuries. The owner of the recording studio didn't want to be on camera, but told us the studio closes at 11 every night. But he has long-term tenants who have access to the building 24/7. The tenant and his guest were shot. He says the surveillance video that he can't share shows the suspects in a parked vehicle across the street. The group of men are walking on the sidewalk and the gunman opens fire. Those who work in the area say they've never had problems with the studio.
It's really safe here. Everyone's really cool with each other. Whatever happened, I don't think it was from anybody here.
Okay, Tran. Okay, big dog, you wait and see. We gonna show you what we do in the hood when we come out to your area. And then last but not least, another Illinois town. Shout out to Chicago. I've been kind of going light on y'all. Another type of Dolton town called Sauk Village, where the trustees and the mayor is getting into a scrap and a heated debate and a fight. Check it out.
More chaos in the south suburbs, fighting and threats in a village hall.
The tension, all captured on video last night, is tied to a financial probe in Sauk Village. Jermont Terry is live with the story you'll see only on CBS
money over
News
there
Chicago.
in Illinois.
Jermont.
Every little time.
Erica and Joe, it was a circus. That's how one village trustee describes what happened here inside council chambers at Village Hall. And depending on who you talk to, the face-to-face verbal threats centers around the lack of financial records and documents here at Village Hall. Take a look at what played out Tuesday night in Sauk Village. That's Village Clerk Marva Campbell Pruitt and Mayor Derek Burgess in a heated exchange right in the middle of a Board of Trustees meeting.
It just went north. I won't say it went south.
You got to get these Xers and these boomers out of office.
Disgust. It's getting worse every week.
Village trustees Debbie Williams and Diane Sapp had a front row seat. They tell me the village meeting.
Now, listen. I'm not one to comment on appearances. Yes, I am. Oh, man, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I just want to keep it moving. Let's get to it. Let's just get to it.
Meetings can get heated, but this week it got to a level they've never seen.
Why didn't you stop him?
The clerk grabbed the mayor's gavel after she made several requests for the mayor to stop pointing it at her. Out of frustration, she yanked it out of his hands, and threats were made.
I come here to take care of business. I don't come here to see the mayor and the clerk fighting with a weapon in their hand, and I'm right next to them.
The trustees tell us the mayor and clerk have been at odds because records are not showing up in the clerk's office. And when the clerk was outlining concerns during the meeting, you hear a voice yell from the crowd.
Excuse me, did you say something to me? Get your wife. Get your wife. Get your wife.
So when she responds to the mayor's wife, of course, that generates a reaction from him to protect his spouse, which is a natural reaction.
Yet trustees Williams and Sapp say all of this boils over as they're trying to protect the village's money.
We don't have the budgets, the audits, treasurer reports for 2 years.
They claim there's hundreds of thousands of misappropriated funds.
Hey, look at this. This is Sauk Village. And they got the Indian on there, the Indian logo, a Sauk Village, and you got a bunch of black people, old black people, going off on each other fighting because the money is missing. Tell me where you've seen that story before. Sauk Village with an Indian logo and a bunch of black people, one older woman telling the older man to get your wife. They fighting, money is missing, and nobody is making sense of anything. I don't know how many examples that y'all got to see of this nonsense before y'all come to the conclusion that y'all don't want to be bothered anymore. Ain't y'all tired? Ain't you tired of seeing the same thing, the same people, the same incompetent leaders running these cities into the ground? Sauk Village might have to make a trip up to Sauk Village and see what's happening over there on those streets. Same old story, same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right, let me read some of these super chats and let's get into the real thick of the show. Manders, shout out to Manders, says, just wanted to say good morning and wanted to take the time to thank you, Anton, for being such an asset to the people I tune into any day before watching mainstream media. Manders, check this out. I am the mainstream media now. You know what I'm saying? They said when I cross 400 that I'm mainstream now. Rico Champion said, what up, though? Shout out to you, Rico. He also says, this is my first super chat. So on that note, we need one of those prayers at the start of every show, fire opening. Absolutely. If the people need it, you know I'm the people's champ. In the chat is my co-host. BEZ333 says Hispanics are wild in Chicago, and I'm from here. Resurrected Simp Enforcer says I work in Sauk Village. Tell me about it. Is it that saucy over there? Where the Indians at over there? Because y'all using them as y'all logo, but y'all ain't, don't worry about it. We'll get there. All right, y'all ready to get started with the real show? Let's get it popping. So Eric Adams, got to give y'all an update on that. He's scheduled to appear in court today. Check it out.
To the latest on the indictment of New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
In just a few short hours, Mayor Adams will make history as the first sitting mayor to face a judge on federal crimes. Adams is being charged with 5 counts. The unsealed indictment revealing charges including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national, and bribery.
If he is convicted of all charges, he could face up to 45 years in prison. We have live team coverage covering all the angles this morning. Natalie Duddridge is at Gracie Mansion, but we start with Christina Fan outside the courthouse.
The guy that tried to assassinate Trump ain't even facing that amount of time.
And Christina, what are you hearing about how this court appearance will go down?
Well, Cindy, the mayor's arraignment is scheduled for noon today, but we are now learning that his attorney hopes to push his initial court appearance until next week. Either way, as you can see behind us, the scene is set for his arrival in front of the federal courthouse. There are rows and rows of barricades present here. Now, prosecutors allege that the mayor engaged in a years-long scheme, accepting gifts and money in exchange for political favors, and then lied to the public about it.
I follow the rules. I follow the law. I do not do anything that's going to participate in illegal campaign activity.
Mayor Adams denied all accusations detailed in a sprawling 57-page indictment, accusing him of seeking and accepting improper gifts like luxury travel and illegal campaign contributions from wealthy foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official since he was Brooklyn Borough president. His alleged undisclosed travel dates back to 2016, totaling to more than $100,000.
Let me ask y'all a question. Before we get to Eric Adams' actual official statement, I want to ask y'all a question. Just a question. Doesn't mean he's not guilty, but 2 things can be true at the same time. 3 things can be true at the same time. Here's my question. If they've been watching him and paying attention to him since 2016, why are they just now coming to get him 8 years later? The word is that they've been paying attention to Eric Adams since 2016. Just a question. Random question. Weird question, I know. Why are they just now coming to get him at the end of election season in 2024? After we've already had waves of millions of migrants coming to this country, why are they just now coming to get him in 2024? Just a question. No. Let me ask it one more time for the people in the back, and then we're going to continue into the show. Why are they just now coming to get him in 2024 at the end of election year if they've been investigating him since 2016?
He told the public he received no gifts, even though he was secretly being showered with them.
Prosecutors say illegal campaign contributions came via straw donors, people who contribute someone else's money to hide the illegal source. In return for the illicit benefits, Adams allegedly used his influence to pressure the FDNY to open a new high-rise housing Turkey's consulate in Manhattan, despite safety concerns.
Laws that are designed to ensure that officials like him serve the people, not the highest bidder, not a foreign bidder, and certainly not a foreign power.
The indictment also detailed how Adams and his staff allegedly tried hiding their criminal conduct, stating that the mayor's campaign fundraiser called Adams 5 times while the FBI was at her door with a search warrant. According to the indictment, she then spoke to FBI agents, but refused to say who paid for her 2021 travel to Turkey. And prosecutors
2021.
Say another different Adams staffer also agreed to speak with the FBI, but then excused herself to go use the bathroom where she allegedly deleted encrypted messaging applications she had used to communicate with the mayor. If found guilty on all 5 counts, Adams faces up to 45 years in prison. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
That's insane. It is insane. And I'm going to give you all my thoughts, Because now I'm starting to feel a certain type of way. Now, I'm no fan of Eric Adams at all. I've been one of his biggest proponents. Biggest criticism was levied against Eric Adams over these last 2 to 3 years. 100%. I think that Eric Adams had been doing a horrible job, but I think that Eric Adams, just like a lot of these mayors, are being tasked. That's my belief. But let me get to Eric Adams' thoughts on it. He spoke on this yesterday, and then I'm going to give you all my belief of what I really think is happening.
All actually do at all 10 months.
Yeah. That's horrible audio. Hold on, let me see something.
Minutes, we're going to hear stories so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do. And the 300,000 plus employees of our city government will continue to do their jobs, because this is what we do as New Yorkers. It's an insult to the hardworking people of the city that anyone would say that they won't do their jobs while this case proceeds in the background. They are dedicated public servants, and I have been one of them for many years. And they're going to continue to do their job, moving the city forward every day. It's an unfortunate day, and it's a painful day. But inside of all of that, it's a day where we will finally reveal why for 10 months I have gone through this. And I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city, as I've done throughout my entire professional career. I want to now turn it over to the person who started me on this journey, Reverend Herbert Daughtry.
I don't care about all of that. So this is my thoughts. This is what I believe. Let me see something.
But in verbal conversation to the team, we do not participate in store donors. We do not participate.
Let me see if I can get some better audio on this. Give me a second. Let's see if we can get any better audio on this. Because I want to hear his whole thoughts before I start giving my thoughts. All right, I think I got some better audio here. Had to pivot.
You kind of had a reaction to the mayor saying, I'm
detail, but it's fascinating.
And that's part of the left.
Exactly whom in the federal government, White House, did you say is targeting you more specifically with regard to that at the first time?
I think you need to ask the federal prosecutors who gave the directive in the orders. I don't know, but we should ask them who gave the directive in orders that we're going to take on and create this group of lies. They have the answer to that question. When it comes down to reading it, I peruse through it to get the top lines. The attorneys are going to dig into the crevices of it, but it is clear. Everyone that knows me knows I follow campaign rules and I follow the law. That is how I lived my life, and I don't see coming into the 60s and my age to all of a sudden change what I've done all the time. I follow the law and I follow the campaign rules.
Thank you! After a couple of weeks, some like 4 or 5 people from your staff have resigned. After today, don't you feel afraid that more people are going to keep resigning and you're going to have
No. Listen, we I think that people fail to properly realize that we have over 300,000 dedicated employees. Over 300,000. Those who decided to transition and do some more things with their lives, many of them told me ahead of time they were going to do that. But we have an amazing, credible team of dedicated New Yorkers, and they're going to continue to do that. I think that's what's going to surprise everyone. 10 months ago, when my phones were removed, like today it was about my phones. Same thing that happened 10 months ago. Today was about my phones. Let's get clear on that. When they removed my phones 10 months ago, people said that all of a sudden the city was going to collapse. It was not going to move forward. Look what has happened over 10 months. Over 10 months, more jobs in the city history, more small businesses open, decrease in crime. You're seeing over and over again success over and over again. So we're going to continue to prosper. We're going to continue to move forward, and we're looking forward to that in the city. Yes. How are you doing? Yes. Well, listen, I think that when you do an analysis, and all of you have covered this, it is a felony to release a grand jury communications. That's a felony. So you can't break the law to enforce the law. And when you look at the drip of information, when you look at our cooperation, our attempts to sit down and cooperate, when you look at what has taken place, there's been a narrative of giving the appearance that there was something improper that's done and it was just wrong. No, well, I think we should ask again, as I stated earlier. We should ask those who are conducting this investigation. We should ask them who gave the directive to carry out what we have witnessed over the last 10 months. Over the last 10 months, you knew information before my attorneys knew information over the last 10 months. You reported that there was an indictment before my attorneys knew that there was an indictment. Over the last 10 months, this has happened over and over again, and this is not how our system of justice should operate.
You support law
enforcement. Yes. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Mayor, the indictment has been unsealed. Now influences public
prosecutors who gave the directive to take the actions that we are witnessing right now. I have ran many campaigns. I have been part of many campaigns, and the scrutiny of those campaigns always revealed the same thing. I follow the rules, I follow the law, I do not do anything that's going to participate in illegal campaign activity, and I will not do that. And I've instructed, not only in writing, but in verbal conversation to the team, we do not participate in straw donors, we do not participate in foreign donors. We know what those rules are, and we comply with those rules, and I think that my attorneys are going to reveal that as we move forward.
Mayor, who is your point person dealing with major city businesses you deal with design?
Of this city, over 700,000 strong. Absolutely. And this is a city that is extremely resilient. This is a city that we have gone through some difficult and hard times, and we're going to continue to move forward as a city. And that's what that's shown. I think the narrative here that's missing, 10 months ago when my phones were removed, we have not gone backwards. We have not stood still. We showed how we operate during difficult times. And when you say who's the point person that's going to deal with business communities, who's going to deal with the business of running the city, the point person is Eric Adams. I'm the mayor of the city of New York. And I have a competent team, of deputy mayors,
So, okay, I get the pretty much the gist. So what Eric Adams is saying, and this is my interpretation of it, without saying it, is that who is the people that's giving this order to come after me in the first place? Now, again, like I said, multiple things can be true at the same time. And until proven in a court of law, until we start to really understand what happened, until we start to see the evidence come out and whether or not he was actually breaking campaign finance laws, that would then justify him to be facing 45 years in prison remains to be seen. I am not a fan of Eric Adams as a legislator. I am not a fan of Eric Adams as a mayor. I am not a fan of Eric Adams as a politician. But I'm still wondering, how did he become a leper? And this is my belief, putting together all of the pieces and the context clues. When Eric Adams first started supporting his migrant crisis, he was at the receiving docks, and this thing started going public, and he was clapping his hands and welcoming migrants, and he was saying, "We love migrants in this city. This city is made up of a melting pot and multiple people." That's what Eric Adams said. That's what he said. He said, "We love migrants and we rocking with them and we gonna do this." And then Eric Adams started to cause a little bit of a ruckus. And then he started to say, "Well, you know what? I'm not really getting the support that I thought that I was going to get from the federal government." And then he started to say, "Migrants are going to destroy this city." Word for word. He went on a campaign and he started to say, this migrant crisis on the low, this is going to destroy the city. Then he started cutting budgets. Then they started cutting police. Then they started cutting trash funding. Then they started cutting, it was something else. Oh, teachers. They started cutting budgets to the schools and things like that. Then he joined the conglomerate of all of those other mayors, and he signed that letter. And they marched to the White House. They ain't get no response. They couldn't get a meeting. You telling me the mayors of the most powerful cities, Los Angeles, think about these cities for a second. Let's just put this in perspective. Los Angeles, New York. Those two cities alone warrant a direct line to the federal government and to Biden. If there's no other people that warrant a direct line to Biden, it's those two cities, New York and Los Angeles alone. Then you throw in the biggest city in the Midwest, Chicago. Then you throw in Houston and Denver, all sanctuary cities protesting against what was happening with this migrant crisis into their cities. They went from clapping to yapping to being sorrowful. And none of them can get a line to the federal government. Eric Adams in particular. Biden was visiting, campaigning, going through, doing UN meetings, all kind of stuff inside of New York, and they refused to even speak Eric Adams' name. And this is over the last year. And so the more Eric Adams became defiant towards what was happening in the migrant crisis, this is just my assessment of it, this is my observation of it, the less access he had to his own party. The less access he had to his own party. And it just went south from there. Now he's a leper. Then all of a sudden we start getting charges filed against him. Now he's facing 45 years in prison. My question then becomes, why is everybody so afraid to say what they really think? As far as the Eric Adams, the legislators, all of this, because in my mind, from my perspective, it's too many people that's quiet. And I'm trying to figure out, why is everybody quiet? Why don't nobody say the quiet part out loud? Because we know what's going on. We know what's really like if you are a free thinker and you've done any level of research, you don't even have to be an elite journalist. If you do any level of research, you will think to yourself, okay, wait a minute. So they letting people come in and overrun their cities that they've been a part of for their entire life. Brandon Johnson let the migrant crisis just come in and completely run up their city. Eric Adams has been in New York his entire life, and the migrant crisis is completely destroying the fabric of the city. Now, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they stand up and say, hey, man, listen, we don't want to be sanctuary cities. We don't want no problems. Hey, keep it moving over here. This ain't what we want. Why would they continue to embrace party politics? And then they started to get disgruntled because remember, the only one of those mayors of all of those people, not Mike Johnson, not Karen Bass, not Eric Adams, the only mayor that had an opportunity to speak at the Democratic National Convention was who? The person whose city it was in. I don't even think if it wasn't in his city that he would even be speaking. He is not, with his mohawk and his capitulating, he is not the person that is a party star. You know who they bring out? I'm going to tell you who they bring out. Because you don't see, think about this, y'all, wake up. You don't see Kamala Harris stomping with Brandon Johnson or Mike Johnston or Eric Adams or Karen Bass. She makes 0 appearances in Houston. Not one of those mayors, not one of the governors, J.B. Pritzker, Kathy Hochul, Gavin Newsom, none of these mayors are in any kind of photo ops. They not doing no speeches. They not kicking it with them. But guess who you see every single time? You know who you see? The ones that play ball. I've seen Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer side by side with Kamala Harris every single day. Gretchen Whitmer was at the Oprah rally. Gretchen Whitmer was at the Oprah rally. Come on. What we gonna have a conversation? Or are we just gonna act like we just blind? When you start putting the puzzle together and you put the pieces together, everybody that was on that letter, the only reason it seemed as though Brandon Johnson had an opportunity to speak is because it was already designated to be in Chicago before he was even elected mayor. He gave that little weak speech. They gave him a little trash time. No prime time, no TV time, no nothing. They gave him the after. It's in your city. You got the biggest city in the Midwest, and you got the you got the 10 a.m. slot. You got the 10 a.m. slot. They brought Hillary Clinton up there, and they left Brandon Johnson off the docket. You got the 10 a.m. slot in your city. I think that Eric Adams and some of these people, they're making it up. I believe, in my opinion, let me preface this by saying this is not a fact, this is my belief. I believe that Eric Adams is collateral damage. And yes, they had stuff on him, and yes, he did stuff wrong, but none of it started to surface or come to light, or none of them tried to throw 45 years on dude. And I believe that the fact that he facing 45 years was one of the reasons why he ain't saying nothing, that he's shutting up. All he got to do is say the quiet part out loud. I think that Eric Adams, as much as I don't like him, is being railroaded, and he's being leveraged and used as an example. Because you got to remember, Brandon Johnson is a new mayor. Mike Johnson is a new mayor. The new guy down in Houston, new mayor. All of them ain't said a word. Go along, get along gang. And they selling y'all out. They selling y'all cities out. I wouldn't doubt I wouldn't doubt even for a minute, even for 1 second, that there are people that are part of the Democratic Party that watch my stream regularly. I guarantee you that there are people that are part of all of these people's administration. I know the people over in Chicago watch the show. I know that for a fact because I know people in the office that said that Brandon Johnson's people and him, they watch my show. They don't like it. None of these mayors like me. None of them, because I call them out on their bullshit. And it don't matter. It don't really matter. I know they don't like me, but they can't disagree with me. They can't disagree with me. Why? Because I put the pieces together. I love puzzles. I love puzzles. I love challenges. So I say what I want because nobody owns me. Nobody owns me. Nobody controls my pocket. God got me. All of these people in the Democratic Party, they sold their souls. The same way that the Hollywood industry and all of these industries, that they do what they do, all of the people in the Democratic Party, they sold their souls. They sold out. They sold their souls. They sold their souls for the position, for the power, for the opportunity. We don't know who getting what, when, where, and why, and how, and we're not going to speculate on it because I don't know for sure. And this is just my opinion, but they sold their souls. They did. And they sold you out with them. And so you voting blue, but at the same time, they voting green. Your leaders have sold you out. That's just my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. It's my opinion. But you know what? You know what we've been seeing recently is that I've been proven right. All of the things that I've been predicting is exactly how it's been playing out. All of the things that I've been saying is going to happen. I said it. I said it over a year ago. I said Eric Adams is going down. He too loud. He going down. Anton Stradamus. Eric Adams is going down. Red team going down. Down. Red team going down. I said it. I said Eric Adams is going down. He not playing nice no more. He too loud. Hey, why they not taking his meeting? Eric Adams is going down. And here we are, September 27th, 2024. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's continue. Let me read some of these super chats, and we're going to continue over with the show. P. Shank, shout out to you, says, good morning, Mr. Anton Daniels. Happy Friday. Shout out to P. Shank. Pat's Nation says, they're all ponds in a lake of schemes. Jonathan Scott says, good morning, Anton. Between using bribery money to fund yourself versus taxpayer dollars, what would you consider to be worse? Taxpayer dollars is always worse. If I'm using somebody else's money versus using taxpayer money, anytime you leverage taxpayer money, it's always going to be worse, 1,000 times worse. But then if you're being sold out and the taxpayers are losing as a result of you getting bribed, it's all bad. I mean, bad is bad, bro. I don't know how you quantify which one is worse, but bad is bad. Might as well endorse Trump at this point. He might as well. Joe Q, he probably should, because when Trump win an election, he might get a pardon. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't de Blasio's wife lose $900 million? Can you give your definition of snow hair to those in the back of the room? You know who you are. I think I got checked yesterday. A snow hare is a white man. It's an older white man. A snow bunny is a white woman. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Sister in the building. Oh, my God. Sis, you know you're always blessing me. Mr. AD, when you listed all of the reasons that you are not a fan of Eric Adams, I'm not a fan of Eric Adams as a legislator. I'm not a fan of Eric Adams as a mayor. I thought what you were going to say, I don't like green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. Shout out to my girl sister. Alvin S. says, Dems talk of 45's abuse of power. Real abuse of power is happening by the Dems. Fannie Willis versus Trump. Tulsi Gabbard on the TSA list and Mayor Adams. It's getting ugly out here. Vanessa says Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela are all communist Spanish countries with Russia as their daddy. Why are they being placed strategically by ethnicity? Libra Justice, I'm just reading them. Libra Justice says, can a sitting mayor change their party affiliation? Yeah, the Dallas mayor did it. The Dallas mayor did it. Molly says, I got your back, Time Dog. What up, though? Molly Chase Barnes says, Anton Stradamus, they better recognize they feeling some type of way. They in their feelings because they bought into a party that they know is corrupt. CivLab says, NYC being a sanctuary city isn't the problem. The idea was perverted by the influx of illegal immigrants being bussed here. Nope, it's not true. Because even though they're not getting bussed, they're getting flown in. Hell, we are not even a border city, so the large number of illegals was unforeseen. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Absolutely, it wasn't. They're coming in through. Let me read this text message that I got from somebody. I'm not saying where they work at. Venezuelans are starting to come in through the Port Huron border. This is a text message that I got yesterday. Venezuelans are starting to come in through the Port Huron border. They said bringing in drugs and games over there. I only know this because I work for blank now, and they came in and told us today. This is real. This is not my opinion. Venezuelans are starting to come in through the Port Huron border. They said they bringing in drugs and gangs over there. I only know this because I work for blank. Now they came in and told us today. This is word for word what I got in the text message yesterday. Said, Anton, you right. And check out this new information. So you could think what you want to think. I only report on the things that I can substantiate, and then I give my opinion as a result of it. But I know what I know, and I don't start talking about it until after I find it out. So you can think what you want, but I'm telling you that it's real. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You have no clue how bad it's about to get, but you're going to find out. Keep on voting the way that y'all vote. Let me read a couple of more super chats, and then we're going to rock out. Shout out to my dog, Chris James. Holding me down. Shout out to Chris James. I love you, bro. I appreciate you. Y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up. I'm telling you, I got eyes everywhere. People love Time Dog. I got eyes and people, I got eyes in this place. I got eyes in that place. I got eyes in this place, and I got eyes in that place. The same way that these people use their sources and these major news networks are using their sources, and they got eyes, I got eyes too. I got asked to. It's one of the benefits of people loving me and rocking with me and actually like, yo, Anton, let me give you a little bit of insight right here. Just keep me on the low. Okay, I got you. Keep my sources. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. Melania, before we're going to get into Kamala Harris next. So Melania Trump popped out on Fox News to give an interview. And so she's been doing similar to a lot of the traditional wives. She's just been staying out of the loop. Let her husband handle it, but she popped out in order to have an interview on Fox. So make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's see what she had to say.
All right. In a Fox and Friends exclusive, Melania Trump is setting the record straight on her life, her family, and the election that's coming up.
She lays it all out in a new memoir called Melania, set to hit the shelves next month.
So we were able to sit down with the former First Lady for this exclusive interview, her first in more than 2 years. Take a look.
Why did you want to tell your story in this book? I believe that it was the time that I tell my story and the truth. It is a lot of misinformation and falsehoods written about me, and I want to put the record straight, and people can learn some things that they were never discussed. And I hope they enjoy the book.
How did you feel about Donald Trump running again?
I support him. I know how passionate he is to make America great again.
We saw you backstage at the RNC. Do you want to talk about why you decided not to come out on stage and give a speech like you did in 2016?
It was my decision. I think was just the time. I think was the right time. In days before, I wrote a beautiful letter to America.
Yes.
And I think in one way that letter was my speech.
The raid on Mar-a-Lago, the house manager texts you and says the FBI is outside the house. They had access to my bedroom, closets, office, and rummaged through my personal items. Even searched Barron's room, you say. So how invasive was that? Did it make you angry? How did you feel?
Yeah, it made me angry. Yes, invasion of privacy. And the way it was done I was really surprised.
And you told your house manager, just leave it, don't touch anything, don't put it back. You wanted to see it for your own eyes. With your own eyes, what did it look like when you walked back in your house?
Give me a house manager instead of a maid.
I saw unpleasant stuff that nobody wants to see it. And you get angry because, nobody should be putting up with that kind of stuff. Some person, I don't even know who or how many people, they went through my stuff.
So the assassination attempts, the first one is in Butler, Pennsylvania. And you write about watching the assassination attempt on TV. And you started working, and you were distracted, so you pushed pause. I think your chief of staff maybe called you and said, he's okay, but there's been a shooting. What happened next?
I ran to the TV and I rewinded and I watched it. I was only a few minutes behind. And something, I guess, look over me. So I didn't really see live, but maybe, 3 minutes, few minutes later. But when I saw it, it was only, nobody really knew yet. Right. Because when you see him on the floor and you don't know what really happened.
So you called him and he didn't answer his phone and you called Secret Service. Mm-hmm. And what did they say?
First, the Secret Service was not available too because they were with him, right? And then after that, I got the Secret Service on the phone and they said that he's okay. We are on the way to the hospital. He will be okay.
And were you able to talk to him on the phone eventually?
Yes, I did.
And then your son rushes into the room.
Yes.
And he had been told, your son is in college, I understand, but he's still your child. This is his father. How difficult was that to have that conversation with him?
Very difficult. He was outside playing sport and he rushed in and was very, very difficult.
And then a few weeks later, there's another attempt on your husband's life at your golf course. Where were you and what was your reaction to this attempt?
I was in New York City, actually, and I saw it on the television. And as soon as I saw it on television, I called again, and he was okay because Secret Service were great. The guys that they were with him, they were fantastic. And I think both of the events, they were really miracles. If you really think about it, the July 13 was a miracle, like that much, and he could not be with us.
And he normally doesn't call for that one screen. He waits till the end of the speech.
Yeah, her English has gotten a lot better. So just
looking at that screen allowed him to turn his head.
Yeah.
And he said it was providential. Does this make you believe in it more, in a higher power? How has that been for you?
I think something was watching over him. I think it's almost like country really needs him.
That maybe God's sparing his life?
Yes.
And then
she just seems so chill and pleasant.
And we were told that authorities have already known this for a while, that there was an Iranian plot to kill your husband. So I watched this video that you released on social media questioning the first assassination attempt. For the second one, if they knew that there was this plot, why didn't they sweep the golf course? You know, it's interesting how quiet and everything became, all of the mainstream media. There were a few days reporting about July 13 event, and everything then became quiet. So I had a lot of questions. What's going on?
That's true.
This is not normal. And is it really shocking that all this egregious violence goes against my husband? Especially that we hear the leaders from the opposition party and mainstream media branding him as a threat to democracy, calling him vile names. They only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. The country needs to unite. And I encourage everybody to read my letter that I wrote on July 14 again, because that cannot continue. Letter was very powerful. What made you get to the point of writing that letter? That's how I felt. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt. How do you feel when people say they don't like him? What do you wish they knew about him? That he is really a family man. He loves his family. He loves this country. And all he wants to build better and prosperous. Yeah, he's just strong. He's not afraid to. No, he's not talk strong. About the way you it could really see is. The way he was when he was shot, that in the ear, that the way he stood up and he said, fight, 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 because we cannot allow that to happen. Okay, becoming First Lady. You wrote in the book when you found out you were watching Fox News right here in Trump Tower, and you write, I vividly recall Bret Baier's announcement, the president-elect is Donald J. Trump. And he looked at you and he said, can you believe it? And you said, yes, I can. Your life immediately changed. When did it hit you? I am the First Lady of the United States. I don't know that it hits you, but you know that you have extra responsibility. You talked about having special bonds with First Ladies, with the wives of prime ministers. Who really did you, when you were just there with them and you had to sit at the dinner table and talk, I'm sure some were just incredibly fun. You really bonded with a few of them. Anyone come to mind? It's interesting because when you meet many times, you establish a relationship. So with Mrs. Macron, Brigitte Macron, she's fun. She's fun. Yeah. We always had great laughs. And with Aki, Mrs. Abe, and I'm so sorry what happened to him. So it was very special relationships with each of them. You've also traveled to visit our soldiers. You did that at Christmas time. You left your family. It was in the dead of night, and you fly over to Iraq to bless the troops. What was that like for you, and what about the reaction from the troops? It was a very secretive meeting, and when we arrived that night, the energy of the soldiers, we walked in and everybody started cheering that they see us, like, what a big surprise. They were not expecting that, not at all. So what makes Donald Trump want to do this again? All he wants to, as he says, make America great again. He wants to make this country prosperous, safe for everybody. He wants to make American dream possible again. What was your reaction to Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee? Well, how I see it is the records speaks for itself. The country is suffering. People are not able to buy usual necessities for the families.
Shaking interview.
We have wars going on around the world. Soldiers are dying. They were dying under this administration because of weak leadership. The border is open and dangerous. A lot of fentanyl is coming over, killing our youth. It's very hard to see, and an economy, it's really not great. Inflation is high, and if we compare these 4 years under this administration compared to 4 years under my husband as commander-in-chief, he was leading the country through peace, through strength. And the border was safer than ever before. We didn't have any wars. People were prospering. They had jobs. They could support their families. So I think American people need to decide what they really want.
Yo, I mean, she summarized it pretty perfectly without any word salad. She just was straight. She said, listen, if you want to compare the 4 years now versus the 4 years then, we was peaceful. We was running up a bag. People could afford to go to the store. It was jobs. You didn't have, the borders wasn't open. I mean, Trump was fighting the fight, but the people were benefiting as a result of it. Honestly, I just think that people, because we have such a short memory and we can't appreciate where we're at the time that we in it, you don't appreciate it until it's gone. And now that everything is messed up, it seems like people would look back and say, man, we had the opportunity of a lifetime. We was running up a bag. But they not. They basically saying, no, we're not going back. So we're not going to go back to prosperity. We're not going back. We're not going to go back to no new wars. We're not going back. We're not going to go back to low inflation. We're not going back. We're not going back into running up a bag. So what are we running towards? Because the Democratic Party is the party of more wars. It's the party of government handouts. It's the party of illegal migration into the country. It's the party of making sure that our kids are getting gender affirmation and they can do other, like, the Democratic Party, I hate to say it, largely, not all Democrats, but the party itself and what they support as a whole is demonic. It's demonic. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to move over into Kamala Harris's interview. We're going to do a little bit of a compare and contrast. I wanted them to go back to back. All right. Marie 2020 says, what up, though? Thank you, Marie, for holding me down, baby. I love you. Forsaken Archives is in the building, says she's the finest first lady in history. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'll give you that one. Scooby Don says her English got way better. I like fried rice. G says, you've been calling all these dirty politics. The country is corrupt AF. Glad we have a real media and people like yourself, AD. Much love and respect. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Carlton Britton says, I got your back, big dog. Thank you for the super sticker. Mr. Martinez says, Washington makes me want to be a passport, bro. Well, let's do a compare and contrast. So now that y'all have direct correlation and can compare and contrast to her and Kamala Harris, even though she's just the first lady and Madam Vice President, the current sitting Madam Vice President is in office, let's get an idea because she recently did her first solo interview with MSNBC. Obviously, she's not going to pull up to none of the ops or any of the opposing media stations, but she had another interview. I haven't seen it yet. I just found it today. I kind of found it on a whim, but it's a thing. It's a thing, all right? So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We're going to find this and watch this together.
Madam Vice President, you just laid out your economic vision for the future. Yeah. But still, there are lots of Americans who don't see themselves in your plans. For those who say these policies aren't for me,
I haven't seen this at all.
What do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. You know, I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone, gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions, which include, for middle-class families, just being able to know that their hard work allows them to get ahead, right? I think we can't and we shouldn't aspire to have an economy that just allows people to get by. People want to do more than just get by. They want to get ahead. And I come from the middle class. Look, my mother raised...
Oh, man, here we go. Let me guess. My mother raised me and my sister, by herself. She saved up to buy a home. And by the time, honest to God, on my father's grave, I've never seen this interview before. By the time we were a teenager, she finally saved up to buy her first home. And her mother's friend run a daycare, ran her own small business, and she loved her neighbor's lawns and all of that. Okay, all right, cool. Let's get her background again.
My sister and me, she worked hard. She saved up. By the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home.
Yep.
And, home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive.
$25,000. So
gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream. So part of my vision for the economy is let's deal with some of the everyday challenges that people face and address them with common sense solutions, such as affordable housing.
Yep.
Over the last 4 years, there have been tremendous economic wins. And you've just laid out a big plan. But still, polling shows that most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is?
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump...
He handed us over the worst economy as a result of the pandemic. And so as a result, we had to build 16 million new jobs, and we had to pull ourselves up through the pandemic. And so, okay.
Left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
Yep.
It was during COVID, and employment was so high.
Thank you. Somebody, finally, we got a reporter. Jesus, I couldn't believe that actually an MSNBC interviewer actually said it. I couldn't believe that I can't believe that somebody finally cut her off and called her off on this BS. Finally, somebody said something. Oh, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Shut down the government. We shut down the country.
Even before the pandemic,
Cap.
he lost manufacturing jobs
Cap.
by
That's
most
cap.
people's estimates, at least 200,000.
Cap.
He lost manufacturing plants. Ask the auto workers.
No, we were booming. That's not true. Ask the auto workers. Oh, my God. No. Nope. I got to do my own research.
Yo, what up, though?
What up? I'm on a live stream.
Okay.
I got a question for you.
All right.
What is what's the sentiment of like most people? 'Cause you at work right now?
Yeah.
What's the sentiment of most people in the plant right now, as far as like the election and the economy and stuff like that?
I don't know, my perspective. I mean, from what I see, people doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's been no complaints ever since, the new contracts and stuff came out. So
You local 600.
yeah,
Okay.
there's been no complaints. They actually, the talk is things are looking better.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's looking better. So I don't know. That's my perspective on it, and that's what I hear everybody else talking like. So.
Mm-hmm. What about Well, they not facing no layoffs at local 600.
No, we were about to strike yesterday
for the tool and die.
Yeah, but that was settled, and so people are, with Sean Fain just coming in. I think companies got scared and they wanted to start paying, so contracts look real good.
Okay. What about what do you think that people are voting towards this year, in your opinion?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What? As far as what?
Like which candidate? What are people leaning towards?
Oh, Kamala.
Really?
In the plants, yeah.
Why is that?
Why?
Mm-hmm. What are they saying?
Well, I can tell you it's got nothing to do with borders or anything like that. It's just they just think that Trump is a lunatic. Not that he can't do anything with the economy or anything, but I just think they think he's a lunatic.
Mm.
He's got too much baggage.
Well, what about him saving the steel industry?
What do you mean saving it?
With the tariffs that he leveled against China.
Well, that talk is with the tariffs. He just put that on the consumers, and so the consumers are taxed with those tariffs. So
even though that's the industry that would have affected their jobs.
With the whole tariffs thing, yeah, because it's still it's a give and take. So because they say that Kamala, or not Kamala, Biden, he left the same tariffs that Trump put on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just to keep China back. But they weren't going. Kamala's not going to put anything more on it to affect the consumers. So the tariffs that are put on there, they're fine. But Trump wanted to put more tariffs on there. So with him putting more tariffs on there, that's just taxing us more. So the tariffs on there, cool. But why would you want to put more on there when it'll affect us? The ones that's on there is doing just fine now.
But the tariffs that was put on there was put on by Trump.
I get it. And I said it's got nothing to do with the economy, but he wants to put more tariffs on there now.
Mm-hmm.
If he was to ever get in, he would put more tariffs on there, and that's not what the average person wants, around here at least.
Okay. Well, that's cool. All right. Well, thanks for your insight. I appreciate you.
All right, no problem.
All right, bye. So that is the sentiment of the plant workers. So this person that I called, he's actually a part of Local 600, right? Local 600 is the plant down there in Dearborn. So that is the plant that represents all of the local auto workers. It represents all of the steel workers. It represents the tool and die. And so their new contract kicked in, so everybody is happy as a result of it. And that is the plant that's the Ford plant. So they make the F-150, they make the steel, and it actually represents all of that. So what he's telling me is that the majority of the plant workers actually are voting Democrat, right? And they're voting Democrat because they believe that Sean Fain, who also endorsed the Democratic Party, and that they believe that since the Biden administration left the tariffs in place, that was enough, but they're fearful that they're going to be costing more, that their lifestyle is going to go up, even though he's the person that saved the very industry that they would have been affected by. So what this tells me personally, and what I like to do when I call people, is I like to get their insight. I'm not trying to debate with them. I don't want to do all of that. I just want to get their insight because I want you guys to make your own informed decisions based off of the insight that I get from the people that's down in the plants and stuff like that. Let me call somebody else really quickly. I want to get somebody else's insight. Well, hold on. I'll have somebody else call me because I don't want to slow the show down too much. I want to call the people over there at Stellantis. So those are the people over there at Local 600. The sentiment is that they all voting for Kamala Harris, okay? So let me continue with the interview.
He lost auto plants. We have grown over 20 new auto plants. He has an agenda. Let's just deal with it right now going forward, not to mention what happened in the past. He has an agenda that would include making it more difficult for workers to earn overtime.
I will say the majority of the people that he worked with are black.
Cutting off access to small business loans for small businesses, an agenda that includes tariffs to the point that the average working person will spend 20% more on everyday necessities and an estimated $4,000 more a year on those everyday necessities.
So this is the information that they're leaning on.
That top economists in our country, from Nobel laureates to people at Moody's and Goldman Sachs, have compared my plan with his and said my plan would grow the economy, his would shrink the economy. Some of them have actually assessed that his plan would increase inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year.
Which is the same thing that they're telling me on the phone.
That Donald Trump has a history of taking care of very rich people. And I'm not mad at anybody for being rich, but they should pay their fair share. But tax cuts for the billionaires and the top corporations in our country, and then not really paying much attention to middle-class families. My perspective on the economy is when you grow the middle class, America's economy is stronger. And there's empirical evidence to prove my point correct.
Then let me ask you about taxes, because lots of people will say, I don't like Donald Trump, but he cut my taxes. He didn't just cut corporate taxes, he cut individual taxes. Now that expires next year, and there's some people confused saying, I don't know what's going to happen next year. Under a Harris administration,
I got to call people and just let them give their opinion. I hear y'all in the chat. Like Eric Harris says, I try to get both perspectives. I don't try to just get one perspective. I try to get both perspectives. Even though I may believe one way, that doesn't mean that that's not how other people believe. And so we got to get it. We got to get the holistic view. We can't just get it from one lens. We got to get it all the way across the board. So that's what tells me what I need to focus on. Because if they have a misunderstanding, for example, and I'm not going to debate them, I just want to get their perspective because that's why they're willing to share with me because I let them talk. If they have a different perspective, then that means that I need to do a better job of educating people on the truth instead of just trying to beat people down and tell them, that, oh, no, you're wrong, because you're not going to change nobody's mind by saying that people is wrong. You're not going to change anybody's mind face to face or having a conversation by saying you're wrong. That's not how people come to a better decision. People have to discover it from themselves, but you just got to provide the right information. You see what I'm saying? So it's not always about debating. When you call somebody to get some insight or you get some more information as to what the sentiment is, you got to let them speak and let them talk. And the best interviewers or the best people that get information are the ones that get it. Now, if we're in a debate setting, that's a different conversation. But when you get insight, you let people tell them their story, and that's it. All right?
Administration. At what income level should someone expect their taxes to go up? And that state and local tax deduction that's currently capped and matters to a lot of people in blue states, are you going to lift that cap?
So, first of all, when it relates to anybody making less than $400,000 a year, your taxes will not go up. Your taxes will not go up. And in fact, under my plan, taxes for 100 million Americans will actually be cut, including $6,000 a year for young couples for the first year of their child's life in a tax cut, a tax credit, essentially, by expansion of the child tax credit. And why is that? Because during the first year of a young couple, of a person's child's life, they're going to need help buying a crib, buying a car seat. And we all benefit when they're actually able to do what they naturally want to do to take care of their child.
And expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home, If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share. And it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country.
Bill Gates.
They aren't.
Just said it this week. If he was in charge of taxes, he would have paid more. But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot.
That's a phenomenal question. This is the best interviewer that I've seen thus far interview her.
They're not. But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share. They also agree that when we look at a plan such as mine that is about investing in the middle class, investing in new industries, investing in bringing down costs, invest in entrepreneurs like small businesses, that the overall economy is stronger and everyone benefits. Part of my plan for the economy is investing in new industries in a way that we have active partnership with the private sector.
Why is she not answering the question of how do you prevent these people from keeping their money here in the United States of America, which is one of the things that the Trump plan actually instituted. They took in more revenue by lowering taxes, which then spurred a better economy and better jobs and better opportunity and better pay for people. And he saved the auto industry and the steel industry, especially the steel industry.
Worked with the private sector my entire career. Even as vice president, working with some of the biggest banks and biggest tech companies to increase by billions of dollars the money going into community banks to increase access to capital for small businesses. Why do those biggest corporations and CEOs do that? Because they know those kinds of investments, like in our small businesses, in startups and entrepreneurs, actually strengthens America's economy overall, and everyone benefits. So this is not about bilking anybody, but it is certainly about saying, let's make sure that we create opportunities for everyone to grow wealth. I believe that it is not sufficient, and it should not be our goal to just make sure everyone is working. That should be the baseline. That should be a given. And let's create an economy where people have the ability to buy a home, to start a business, to take a nice vacation from time to time, right?
For people who want to buy a home, yes, getting a $25,000 kicker would be great. But it's not just affording a home. We don't have enough in this country.
You're absolutely right.
And one of the main problems are regulations and rules, strict rules at a local level. How does the federal government cut through all that red tape and get down to, the suburbs of Pittsburgh and say, we're going to have to build some affordable housing here? How do you connect the two?
So you're absolutely right. So across our country, people rightly are concerned about the cost of housing. So it's home ownership, to your point. We need more supply. That is, without any question, part of the...
It's not a supply problem. It's not a supply problem. It's an affordability problem. The supply is not, it's not a supply problem. It's the fact that they raise rates in order to try to keep down inflation because I'm not going to give an economic lesson. This is an opportunity for her to state her piece, and then we just going to react to it.
Solution. Creating more supply under my plan includes creating tax incentives to work with the private sector and home builders. Part of my goal and the plan would be to create 3 million new housing units for rent and for ownership by the end of my first term. It includes also what we must do to cut red tape. You're absolutely right. It takes far too long and there's too much bureaucracy associated with home building. And I say that as a devout public servant.
No. The question is this. The question is, how do you cut red tape? That's the question. How do you do it is the question. The question was, on a local level, The bureaucracy that's associated with being able to be successful and all of this is too much. How does the federal government, because I want to keep us on point here, how does the federal government cut through the red tape in order to solve for the problems that you say that you're going to solve for?
I know that we have to reduce the red tape and speed up what we need to do around building. And that is going to require working from the federal level with state and local governments. And it's going to be different in different places, depending on the needs of that community, the needs of that local government, that municipality, but working in consultation and coordination and also around incentives that we can create. For example, some of the work is going to be through what we do in terms of giving benefits and assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars and looking holistically at the connection between that and housing and looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing for working people.
Then let me ask you a business that matters a lot to this town.
Yeah.
U.S. Steel.
Yes.
Right? When you think Pennsylvania, when you think Pittsburgh, you got the Liberty Bell in Philly, and you got U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
A Japanese company wants to buy them. You are opposed to this idea. Many people are. But if the deal doesn't go through, they have said people could lose jobs, they could close mills, they could leave the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, that is like moving the Liberty Bell to Newark. So which is more important?
It's most important that we maintain America's ability to have American manufacturing of steel by American workers for a number of reasons, which includes, again, back to the point of growing our economy and how I think about the economy overall, investing in new industries. There is not a new industry that I can imagine that is.
I don't know what's up with this deflection, but
not going to require steel as a manufacturing of steel as a fundamental part of what it accomplishes.
What?
And having American workers in an American company manufacturing that steel for those new industries is going to be critically important, not only in terms of our economy, but also in the context of national security.
No. The question is, these companies, these foreign companies that own these steel mills are saying that if a new deal does not go through, then they are going to close these steel mills and pack up and leave. That's the question. What do you do to make sure that this deal goes through so that we save American jobs?
Most people now realize if we didn't before the pandemic and the strain on supply chains and an over-reliance on foreign manufacturing, that we have to be intentional about U.S.-based manufacturing. And of the products that we have to prioritize, steel is one of them. And that's always going to be my priority.
Steel workers matter in this country. Unions matter.
Yes.
In 2016, Donald Trump connected with unions. He saw them. There was an emotional connection. But what he didn't do was deliver policy. In the last 4 years, we have seen huge wins in this country for unions. But not all unions have gotten behind you. I want to understand, when the Teamsters decided not to endorse you, what was their reasoning?
This is a good interview.
What are they looking for?
Well, let me go back to our just previous conversation. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of the steelworkers and almost every other major union in America, because I stand by workers and I stand by the importance of being able to join a union and to understand the benefit and the value of unions. And I understand the importance of investing in new industries and working actively with the private sector to grow our economy.
But I'm asking because there's this idea, we want something more from her. What is it?
Well, here's the thing, that back to your point about previous election cycles, Donald Trump made a whole lot of promises that he did not meet, and one would argue broke. Look at Lordstown. He said he was going to...
Don't sell your homes.
Yeah, don't sell your homes. And what happened? It shut down. Outsourcing under Donald Trump. His policies that are about putting, tens to hundreds of % tariffs.
John Deere.
Yes. Yes. So part of the challenge, and I don't disagree that it's a challenge, got to earn the vote of everybody, is reminding people of fact, regardless of what somebody says in a small rally.
No. The question is, what more does the Teamsters Union want from you in order to secure an endorsement from them? That's the question. Yo, deflection level is on 9,000. The question is
somewhere. And I think that's really important. And that's part of what I'm doing in this campaign, is to remind people, just like here in Pittsburgh, of the reality of who has stood with union labor, who stands for American manufacturing, who stands for American jobs.
Can I ask you about tariffs? Because you just mentioned it. It's not just with one company. Donald Trump's sort of big idea is this broad-based tariffs across the board. You and many others have said that would be not only disastrous, but it would be a direct tax on the American consumer.
It would be a sales tax on the American people. That the independent economists have already measured this by the sales tax of doing a 20% tariffs on all imports that he has described would be a 20% sales tax, in essence, on base.
Go ahead. You said your union rep wanted you to let me know what?
That more manufacturing jobs were lost under the Trump administration pre-COVID than at any other time. So
where's he at? Put him on the phone.
He's not. He just left out.
Oh, okay. Tell him to call me. I'll be here. When you see him again, tell him to call me.
All right. I think you might know him. His name.
Don't say his name. Don't say his name. Don't say his name.
I think you might know him.
Okay, tell him to call me.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Ooh, I'm getting all kind of calls today. Hello?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. What's going on? So I'm on a live stream.
Uh-huh.
I want to get your opinion on something. So I don't want you to say your name because I don't want nobody to know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's a big show. It's thousands of people watching. But I want to get your honest to God opinion on something. All right?
Okay.
So give me a general idea of where you work. You don't have to say the company, but the industry that you work in.
Automotive.
Okay, so the automotive. So one of the big three.
Yes.
And what's the sentiment? Like, what is your experience right now of what's happening in the automotive industry?
My experience is we are being treated like slaves, lied to, and we're being lied to by the corporate offices.
Mm-hmm.
We're not getting the truth about what's going on as far as the new products, the facilities that are closing while we're having the major layoffs. And even though we signed this life-changing contract, there's still being some things done to us that we don't agree with.
Are you what does other people feel like? Do they feel like they're afraid they're gonna lose their jobs or get laid off or anything?
Yeah. They're afraid that they're gonna lose their jobs at any time. So everyone is just pretty much on edge every day, because you don't know what you're walking into every day.
How do they feel about Sean Fain?
Some people like him, some people don't. Some people think he's just trying to make a name for himself.
How are you adjusting? So how do you deal with it? How do you deal with the possibility of being laid off, no new no new products and stuff like that?
Well, I'm seeking other opportunities. So I'm currently in nursing school to pursue another career. Because I don't plan to retire from the company.
How do you think that the majority of the people in your plant gonna vote if you had to guess?
They don't want to strike again. They don't want to strike. They're afraid. They don't want to strike. But then they probably don't have a choice either. You got to go with majority rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be the last man standing.
How do you think that they gonna vote in the election? Like who do you think that they more leaning towards?
Oh, they Kamala Harris.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't discuss politics or religion.
I got you.
So I don't know, but I know a lot of people, they have voiced their opinions about Kamala Harris.
Why do you think that they like her if you had to guess?
Because she is going against Donald Trump. No one likes Donald Trump. They feel he's a racist. And here it is, this black woman. The majority of my job is probably 70% African Americans.
So they voting for because they don't like him?
Yes. Yep. That's what my opinion is. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, baby. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right. Bye.
Have a good day.
There you have it. That's what's happening on the floors. All I can do is present the information. Do with it with you what you will. One person say, "Oh man, we got the new contract. We making more money than ever." Other people are saying, "We got the contract. Now we about to lose our jobs, but we 70% black in this plant, and so we still gonna vote for Kamala Harris, but we scared every day coming into work because we don't know if we're gonna lose our jobs or not." So there you go. I mean, it is what it is. That's the sentiment of most people. That's what's rocking. And all I can do is present the information. Anybody that I call or anybody that calls me as a source, I'm never going to debate them. I'm just going to ask them the questions, and then y'all do what y'all want with the information. You know what my opinion is. There's no point in me giving my opinion. That's the sentiment. That's what's happening in the streets.
Basic necessities for the average American worker, average American family, totaling almost $4,000 a year. That is no small matter. Here in Pittsburgh, when I'm talking to a group of folks who work here, who live here, and when they hear it might be $4,000 more a year for them, look, people can't afford that.
But tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Why her mouth open? Why her mouth open? Because she being fact checked. Why her mouth open all the way? Wait a minute. Biden said he with the tariffs also, and y'all left the tariffs in place that Trump already implemented. I want to see what her answer is going to be.
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity.
Left his tariffs in place.
He's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues.
What?
And one must be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment and what will be the economic impact on everyday people. And when you look at my plans, you will see what those benefits will be. $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. You know what that means? Then you're creating the ability of that working person to build intergenerational wealth. Doing the work of a $6,000 child tax credit. Doing the work of a $50,000 tax deduction for first-time small businesses, startups, because right now—
That's a real plan.
It's a real plan, because right now, and again, it's about paying attention to the detail and being serious about it. I'm serious about my enthusiasm and for small businesses and my belief in what they will do as part of America's economic engine.
On Friday,
So looking at the fact that right now the tax deduction is $5,000, nobody in this year of our Lord 2024 can start a small business with $5,000. Very few can. So extending it to $50,000 tax deduction for startups to generate the innovation and
Okay. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
What do you think what do you think about Eric Adams and the situation that's happening in New York?
You know what? First thing, and I did a post about this, is the feds have a strategy. Before we get to Eric Adams, they have a strategy, and their strategy is hurry up and get an indictment and then impanel a different grand jury. And I believe that they have another grand jury working on the issues they really want to bring forward, because the travel and all of those are the tantalizing issues that start to pick away and chew away at character issues and different stuff like that. You know, a lot of that stuff, upgrades on flights and different things. I mean, come on, this is not. These are. I mean, they might be against the ethical requirements of the state of New York or the city of New York, but I don't know if they're crimes. Secondly, you know, I spent some time with Eric in New York. You know, he knows I don't agree with a lot of his policies and political positions, but I do agree that he's a strong brother and a very intelligent brother, and he's trying to do the best that he can, and he loves New York. But, you know, a couple of moves that he made, particularly in the area of the migrants, I think got him in a whole lot of trouble politically, outside of the feds, outside of everything else. It moved him into a situation where politically he became vulnerable. And when he became politically vulnerable, particularly with those who didn't support him the first time, which was a large part of the financial community in New York, didn't really support Eric. Eric came through, you know, he was the kind of insurgent candidate, and he came through and won, and there have been people plotting to get him since. And I believe those people are connected with a whole lot of other entities in New York. And so they're using their disdain for him politically and in his elected position, as always, because he probably would have won re-election, but for a case coming. And that's, I think that's a play that usually happens in these kind of pivotal, you know, mayoral races, particularly when there's somebody who's not quite owned and operated by the powers that be, as a wild card, if you will.
So what's the play? How do they squeeze him?
I think the first thing is you got to erode his character bit by bit. You know, people don't remember what you do, but they remember how you made them feel. And so they start to have the chipping away of character. So you chip away on character on first thing is you make them look crazy with how you use a checkbook. Textbook, you know, I don't care if you're talking about, you know, my man in New Orleans, me, him, you do it in Chicago with the young guy and he's spending $20,000, $40,000 for haircuts. You start making people look crazy without giving context to it. He spent, I remember a front page article on me is I spent $500 for a steak dinner, you know, and I know we were in Wall Street kind of showboating with the bond rating agencies, but they give no context, but they start to chip away at your character. But then for me, the worst thing is you can have is infidelity and that kind of thing. So they start now character assassination, but they're using the legal system to do it. So you got people being dragged into grand juries, dragged into interviews right now, doing what they call 302 interviews with the feds, which he won't see. You know, so they can say anything. They can go in there and say, yeah, he gave me money. Yeah, we and him had some chicks on the west side. Me and him was with Puffy. They can say whatever they want to say. It's kind of like that Atlanta case where the rappers was going, yeah, we shot dude over there. Hey, wait, hold on. Yeah, I mean, you know, in those 302 interviews, which, by the way, I would just say this to all of the snitches out there. Listen, if you go into trial, you get all of that. So me, I got all of my 302s. I'm saying that so everybody understand. I know what you're saying. Yeah. A lot of people that smile on my face around Detroit now at times was in there just saying anything. But that's what they're doing now. They're going through the process of chipping away his character and making him easy and more vulnerable to prosecute. And so they'll do that because they need to separate him from the people who support him. And that's what they're doing now. That's the first strategy.
What is it? Will he survive this? If you had to guess, right, based off of what you know from a political perspective, from a legal perspective, can he even fight this?
If the first indictment was all I ever had, I would have been mayor another term, or I could have walked away into the sunset. Yeah. It depends on what else they have. If they're planning to get him out of office, that's not it. And that's that. If they want him removed, if they associate him with P. Diddy, if they associate him with a major case, like now when you bring people in, you scare them. You tell them that we're now putting together a conspiracy. And we believe you were a major factor in that. And so, I mean, guys told me, I was interviewing snitches, guys were telling me, they show you pictures of your kids, tell you never see them again. They show you with a guy with a woman saying, yeah, you met your woman out there with this dude. They do everything they can to man, listen, I done saw guys I had one picture where a guy I was talking to, he pulled out a picture with a guy going to buy, a guy he knew, which was a rival dude in the drug stuff here in Detroit, buying his woman some diapers at Target.
That's what they showed him?
They showed him a picture, say, this dude right here, right next to your woman. I'm telling you right now, they've been together all day. And they showed him several pictures from the same day. Oh. And he told on that dude, got him 30 years. But when he got the dude, I ended up being in the same lockup with the dude. Like, I would go on both sides because I was free to move around the jail because I was number one on my indictment, didn't have no telling. Yeah. So I can move. And so I went on the other side. He said, man, my man, listen, man, that was my guy's brother. That's my guy's sister. And when her man got locked up, man, we went and bought her some dye. I wasn't messing with her, never touched her. I thought I was doing a good deed, man. I was trying to squash the beef. But the dude went and told on him. And so when he did find out, that was the truth. And he was in the room crying and all kind of stuff. But that's what I'm saying, Anton. You don't know the type, these feds, they vicious, man. They something else. And, that's why a lot of people, 63 people lined up to testify against me. And a lot of them guys I never met, never saw a day in my life. But they said they'd been to my house, me and them did this, and I'm like, man, I don't know this. They never seen this guy, definitely ain't been to my house. Mm-hmm. You had a guy get on the stand, Anton, and say, me and him hung out all the time, man. We was at his house, and he had all these cameras and turned the TVs up real loud when we talked. I mean, he had me as, Don Corleone up in that joint. Yeah. So what they'll do to Eric now is they'll start to put together people to say what they need him to say to get a larger indictment. And if that is something that they are already leaning towards, it'll be hard for him to run for re-election next year. Because it's next year. Yeah. So that's another issue. He got to run next year. But if this is it, he can muscle through this. Because a lot of this doesn't even look like common sense. It could be some ethical violations of the New York law. But, I mean, you got a couple upgrades. They pay for travel. That is not something you should go to federal prison for.
I got a couple more questions. Okay, so why don't you think, because I don't remember Eric Adams being at the Democratic National Convention.
Right.
And of course, we got this migrant crisis situation going on. If you had to guess, why do you think that this is a thing now? Like, who's going after him, and why is he such a huge target right now?
Democratic Party is, without question. When you look at the hand-selected U.S. attorneys that have been around the country that have gone after particularly black mayors. People don't like when I say this, but I just had to study it because I was one of them. From Sugar Land, Texas, to Philadelphia, to Florida, to California, to Detroit. It's always been a Democratic person that sends a special prosecutor in that comes in with the textbook saying by pulling the lawyers together in the town and say, I'm going after public corruption. That's happened in all 6 cases that I actually looked into personally, including here. She came in town. I was gone. I'd resigned. She came in town and said, I'm going after public corruption. Hand selected by President Obama and also the Attorney General. And came in town, and everybody, oh, don't say that. No, this is my life. Now you got some of this. I know people have great affinity, and I don't want people to stop liking who they like or loving who they love. My thing is, with some of this, we just got to be truthful. Yeah. So they hand selected somebody to come after Kwame. Period. And so when they did that, none of the stuff, my federal investigation was open in textbook fashion a month after I got in office, Anton. So that federal investigation was 9 years. Now this is the interesting part. Nothing in the trial from February of 2002 to February of 2009 was in the trial. None of those grand jury stuff. Everything that I got indicted for came in after she was hand selected. So when we talk about this stuff, we got to really be mindful. At first was campaign violations and all that. Then when she came in, it was RICO. it was all of the all these other things that came in, get him out. And so that's the same thing that I believe is happening to Eric Adams, because Eric Adams has been challenging the administration on the migrant issue.
Yes.
You left this at my doorstep. You not giving us any more money. The largest city the most important city in the world is now under a crisis, and you trying to put it on my lap. No, Mr. Biden, I put this on you, Mr. President. And so he would not come to that. They don't want him there. They don't want him there to speak, because he probably can't say what they put the white paper in front of him to say. And, a member of that administration is running for office, and she has not really been in we haven't seen them together.
Yeah, they haven't.
And so they've been distant from him because they knew all this was coming, because they've had the conversations with the Attorney General. And just so people know this, they cannot indict publicly a sitting elected official without it being signed off by the Attorney General. And the Attorney General of the United States cannot sign off on something that major as a Kwame Kilpatrick or Eric if the president doesn't know about it. And in this case, the vice president. When the feds needed to get my RICO, and I have all this documentation, that's why I can't wait to do the movie.
Yeah.
When the feds needed to sign off for my RICO indictment, they had to send it to Eric Holder.
Really?
Had to.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they couldn't just say they could recommend it. They had to send it to D.C. and say, we want to charge this man with RICO. And it was okayed by not only Eric Holder, but the President of the United States. Well, how do you know that, Kwame? Because Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick went to the White House. She went to the White House with her pastor from Oak Grove AME Church. She didn't feel comfortable going by herself. She brought somebody with her, and he went in there with her. And they walked up to the president, they talked to the president, and my mother asked him one question, do you see what's happening with my son? He said, yes, I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what's going on. And he turned and walked away.
Really?
So, absolutely.
You gotta be kidding me, Kwame.
Yes. And so when we talk about all of these people, listen, and that may have been something he had to do. Like I hear black folks say, he had to do that, man. He had, and people make excuses for people. Hey, listen, I don't have no hate in my heart for that man at all. But I don't want people to be misguided like it was all roses and carrots, and I shouldn't be a little hesitant in showering all of this grace upon him. I mean, no, I understand that he had a job to do. That job included a whole lot of people other than him and other than Eric Holder and other than the specific prosecutor they sent in here to do it. And what I'm saying, I was a little mayor, I mean, a big guy, but a little mayor in one little city. We talking about New York.
Yeah.
we talking about. I mean, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere in New York. Right. We not talking about Detroit this time. We talking about New York. The entire eyes of the world are on that city. And so when you have Eric Holder, a cop from the neighborhood, I mean, basically, who grows up in his manhood and says, I want to be mayor, and is not the favorite, and comes through the primary and becomes the mayor of the city of New York. From that moment, he raised his hand and said, yes, he's been under attack. And a lot of it now, because he tried to play with the team on this whole migrant issue, he was one of the people in Washington saying, we got to open the people down south. He was pounding on them.
Yeah,
They're
he
racist.
was.
They doing all this kind of stuff. The people down south in Texas said, okay, we're going to send them to you then. And all of the crisis now is at his doorstep. And the people that he thought were on his team and helping him are the very people now that are stabbing him in the back.
Man, I'm going to just tell you, politics seem like the dirtiest game in the world.
Listen.
The dirtiest game in the world.
I tell everybody that I played football my whole life, and football is a contact sport. I tore up my knee, I tore up my back, I broke a few fingers. I would do it all again because it was much, much easier than the contact sport of politics.
Jeez. Okay, so let me ask you this one last question. I'm looking at, because I remember all of these Democratic mayors, including Eric Adams at the time, and they signed this letter over to the White House, including Denver Mayor Mike Johnson, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, Karen Bass over there in LA, the Houston Mayor, and then also the New York Mayor. And it was all as it relates to this migrant crisis. For me, I'm always confused because I'm like, well, why would they go along with this, knowing that this thing is going to possibly hurt their careers, and it's not necessarily going to be in the best interest of the city? Why do they go along with this? Like, what's the play?
The play is what the Democratic Party always does to us. It makes everything about racism. And once something is about racism, it provokes all black folk to be on one side or the other. And nobody wants to be on the side of something that is quote unquote racist. And so they use it as a weapon to be able to isolate and marginalize black elected officials to take a position that's counter to that, which they really believe. And I just thank God, I just really never been that way. I mean, that's not, no, man, listen, I don't want the people here. We can't afford them. We can't say, man, let them, if they going to Texas, man, I'm staying out. These are private conversations that should have been had, but I'm not signing no letter. That's why Mike Duggan is not signing the letter. That's why other mayors are not signing that stuff, man. They don't want that here. We got issues of our own. We have poverty issues to engage ourselves. We also have crime issues and homeless issues and everything else to engage ourselves. And we need the federal government to do what it's supposed to do on the borders of America. And that's, I think that they got isolated. And I think that it's hurting Brandon Johnson worse than anybody.
Yeah, he catching it. He catching hell.
I think that,
I'm surprised they even let him speak at the Democratic National Convention, but it wasn't Chicago, but they gave him a weird time. But
yeah, it was, I think that they had to do that because he's taking so much abuse and he's playing for the team. He's a union supporting guy. He's isolating himself a lot from the community. I want to talk to him so bad because, it's ultimately about winning the election, like not just being a good guy.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to understand that the people that you really talking to in Washington and some of these union leadership people, they're not going to vote. They're not in your district. And some of this, you have to turn back and say, what do I need to do for the citizens? And now you have a real revolution starting in Chicago, especially when now GDs and vice lords and BDs are coming together against the migrant crisis. You know, anytime you see a rallying cry against you from everybody in society, then that's a problem. And so, you know, but I think they did it. I think they signed that letter in time because, you know, it reckoned them back to a time in America when African Americans were being isolated and told that they can't do certain things in certain community. And people, you know, took that and ran with it and said, we can't allow this to happen to these people. They came here for a better life. They came here for this, but and all of those things are true. The problem is, as the corporate leader of your community, you have to make decisions not only for what's best economically, but also what's best for quiet enjoyment and what's best for safety. And so you have to make a decision that the people that you have to learn how to manage first. Now, you got to think about it, too. All of these were first-term mayors. Karen Bass.
Yep. Mike Johnson,
Eric,
Brandon Johnson,
Mike
all of them.
Johnson. So they got him early.
Yeah.
They got him no second-term mayor. That's why I use Mike again. It's not because he's brilliant. He just knows. He can see politically down the road. Now this is crazy, too. Probably the closest mayor in the entire country to Joe Biden is Mike Duggan in Detroit.
Really?
Without question. 1994, he ran his campaign for president.
I didn't know that.
Him, McNamara, and Duggan, great friends, personal friends. Listen, I met with Joe Biden when he ran for president the first time because Mike Duggan had me come down. I was in the state legislature. And so they are cool. So why didn't he sign the letter if it was so important to the president?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't important to the president. It wasn't. And that's the thing.
What about, okay, so let me ask you this one last question. I see Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer everywhere. She at the Oprah event for Kamala Harris. She at the rallies and all of that. They highlighting her. Like they're really, really highlighting and pushing her. What is that about? What do you think that that's about?
I think that she's one of a handful of people, her along with the governor in Kentucky and a couple others that are the next thing for the Democratic Party. And what the party saw.
The bullpen that you was telling me about?
That's the bullpen. Those are the people to watch. Those are the people that are already getting some of the money people to start financing their movement. Yeah, how they move around the country and get more national presence and you know, a national spots to speak in different places. You know, she's an attractive woman, smart lawyer. She can speak. She has the support of her community and her state. She's right on the issues that they care about, the money people care about, and there's somebody they want to move forward. And so if you have her and a governor of Kentucky as the next thing, it starts to look good again for the Democratic Party. They don't want a situation like Biden-Harris again. I don't care what all they say and glowing about Kamala Harris right now. It's not their choice. They just anybody but Trump, and let's make this person look the best.
Yeah.
And so they're thinking past right now. And as sure as they're running hard, Kamala Harris, if she, by the way, happens to win, which I don't think she will, but if she does, she'll be a one-termer.
Yeah.
And her party is going to come after her.
Yeah. Well, what about all of these mayors that's catching these L's? The Brandon Johnsons, the Mike Johnsons, what happens to them? Because they the ones that actually, it seems like, did the heavy lifting when it came to advocating and pushing, while at the same time kind of protecting the president and all of these legislatures, especially with regard to this immigration crisis and all of these different issues. They're the ones that's kind of on the front line. They're the army, they're the soldiers. What happens to them?
Each one of them are going to have to run their own race and turn back to their communities and run it. That's it. They're not going to get the help from the Democratic Party. They're not going to get the assistance. They're not going to do anything. I learned that after my first term. After my first term, I had about $10,000 in the bank, and they raised $2 million for my opponent to beat me. Just because I was a bit too independent. So
but you still won, though.
Yeah, I went out and raised $1.5 million in 6 months just to compete on TV with a person that came out of the blue to beat me. That was supported by all of the Democratic Party folks, all of the news stations, all of the newspapers, news radio. Everybody was supporting them except the people. And I learned then that the only way to win in your community is you got to turn back to the people who actually vote. All of those folks, the Democratic Party people, the unions, they don't live in your community.
Yeah.
And so if you can raise the money to get your message out, which I would strongly urge Brandon Johnson to start doing right now, and then start having community events and get beat up now. Go get beat up right now. Go in those communities and have them talk about you and say, hey, listen, I apologize for that. Listen, when I got here, this is what I experienced. I did the best I could with the information I had.
Yeah.
I relied on some people who told me that this was the right, but all of those people are gone now. And it's just us. And I want to get back to knowing what you need from me. You got to go out there and take it. If you can't face your own people, you don't need to be mayor anyway. And so I think that this is going to be a very, very good bellwether moment next year as mayors around the country have to run again. And you got an open spot, it looks like, in Detroit. So that's a
what do you mean?
That's a great. I don't think Mike Duggan is running again.
You don't think so?
I don't think so at all, no.
But why wouldn't he? Because, I mean, he kind of out of the – Mike Duggan is kind of in a sweet spot because he out of the mix as far as not necessarily being as visible, but at the same time, he's benefiting greatly off of the growth of the city right now.
Yes, Mike has done a good job. He took the foundational tools that he had, and he's done the work. And, and then now with the growth of, what they call gentrification, you have a strong voice from the media and everybody that's supporting them, because everybody feels a part of Detroit in a way that they never have, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
So who replaces him though? Like,
I don't know. I heard some names that are running out of there. I'm kind of far away from it.
Yeah.
I've been dealing more with nationally, but whoever it is, it's probably going to be an African American person. And so that person has to continue to try to seek Mike Duggan type press. Because what happens in Detroit, whether you Coleman Young or Kwame Kilpatrick or a black person they like Dennis Archer, there's still an air of that person's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be very important that the momentum continues, that the people in the press keep saying good things about Detroit. And every time it's a shooting, one of the things, every time it was a shooting, it could have been somebody shot on the west side, and they came and talked to me.
Yeah.
I'll never see Mike on the news. Listen,
No,
they
he don't.
always go talk. They talk to the chief of police. They talk to a sergeant.
Yep.
They talk to a sergeant. They talk to somebody other than him.
I see Mike. He had all of the business openings though. The ribbon cuttings.
He's at the ribbon cuttings. He's kissing babies. He's doing the things. He's doing the things that old school mayors got a chance to do. Big city mayors, particularly those that are rough around the edges or they're ethnic, they don't get to just kiss babies. They got to answer all the questions and stop. I'm on the phone. Yeah, you hear this? This is my man.
Yeah.
So, that's what happens now in those kind of races. And I just think, whoever it is, they're going to have to set a different type of table because I think it's going to be a turn back to the community. And I think the community, although everybody's been pretty much okay, obviously, because that's how they voted, with what's going on, there's been also a lack of connection to downtown that people desire and yearn for too. So how can you get both? How can you be connected to what's going on and also keep the momentum so you're happy about what's going on? And that's what the next mayoral candidate is going to have to show they can do.
Connect the rest of the city with what's happening downtown.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, listen, Kwame, I'm gonna hit you up after I get off of here.
Yeah, I need that, man. Give me a holler. I love this.
All right, bet. Okay.
All right, brother.
All right, bye. There you have it. Former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, tapped in to give me some insight. And I think that if anybody is uniquely suited to give some insight on what is happening with. So yeah, man, we had to pivot a little bit just so we can get some insight. But there you have it. There you have it. That's why this is the greatest morning show on earth. I had a little bit of a problem